What's up, family, friends, world? This is Powerman MC. A lot of you probably know me from some films or movies I've been doing for the last 16, 17 years, or hip-hop music for the last 24 years or so. And I generally don't get in front of the camera and start talking about issues in America. That's not really my style. I am a community coach and mentor, activist in San Fernando Valley. I'm originally from South Central LA, Watts, California, and come from a real rough, tough background. For some of you that actually know me know that I was born and raised in the hood. Blessed by the Lord to just overcome all of that, the gang banging, the dope dealing, the slanging. I blessed to move and thrive and stay alive all these years. What's on my mind that I'm sitting here talking to you about? It's about what happened recently in Minnesota, Minneapolis. Rather, let's just say Minnesota. I mean, it's just so heartbreaking and gut-wrenching what I witnessed the other day, as far as the murder of Mr. Floyd, Mr. George Floyd. I personally have seen murders before. Growing up, even in high school, I'll never forget seeing the aftermath of a murder, having a brother murdered at a young age. I was 7, 8 and had a brother murdered, and seeing people in my neighborhood murdered, and girls swinging one time hung in front of my high school from a tree. Imagine seeing that in the 10th, 11th grade. So I've seen murder and the after effects of murder, but I've never seen murder on live television. And I mean, lynching, live lynching, or whatever you want to call it. Either way it goes, it was 100% horrific. I have never seen an officer, police officer, commit such a deadly act. And it was almost as if it was scripted, because it was so unreal, with people begging the officers, I should say, because it was 4 of them, to not to kill this man. The man, Mr. George Floyd, was begging for his life, face down, handcuffed in the street behind a police vehicle. And clearly, for those of you who feel like, oh, we heard about this story, so what? Let's move on. We can't just say let's move on. This is not the first time that a black man has been murdered in California and Texas, New York City, any of the states in America. It's happened quite frequently, especially the last few years. It's 2020. I remember making a rap song 20 years ago complaining about police brutality. And not to say that that's all there is, because there isn't. As everybody knows, there's good cops, there's bad cops, police officers. And then you have those that kind of watch the good and the bad, and they tend to either go with the good or the bad. There's not much room for in between when you're an officer. How do I know? Because once upon a time in South Central LA, when I was out there wilding in the streets, and I just graduated high school, was about to make my move on what I was going to do with my life, I started hanging out with some brothers of mine, foster brothers, and we literally lived in a crack house, and guns and drugs was just the norm. I was surrounded by that growing up. So getting guns put on me in high school and in all my teenage years, and having the cops come and search you and check you doing something bad or not, and harassing you or whatever, deserving or not, it was always happening, to a point where I was used to it. As I got older, I remember thinking back on that. I remember one time we got raided. I was hanging out at a dope house, and a lot of my brothers were walking around, with AK-47s and other handguns, and we out there slap boxing, playing around, and there was a police raid. Police showed up, raided the home where I was hanging out at the time, and I recall how they were handcuffing guys and throwing them off roofs. I'm standing there watching this, And they had me and some other youngsters, we were all like 16, 15, 17, hands behind your back. And one officer in the middle of that, they started kicking and beating everybody. And I remember one time where one of the officers came to me and he put his baton in my face. And I was about to sneeze. I don't know who that officer was, but he set me on the right path because he told me, look around you. You know, he said, do you really want to be a part of this? He knew my real name, he knew my street name, and he told me, think about it. You know, and as he was saying it, I just started looking around and listening to this, exactly what he said. And as they were beating and kicking and beating, you know, some of my family members and some of the people that were hanging out, I was watching him. You know, he really made me wake up because he said, you really want to be a part of this? You know, and for some reason he talked to me and I heard him. It made sense. He asked a young lady next to him, it was a twin, I'll never forget it, to spell cat. And she started stuttering. She's about 15, 16 years old, and she was like, K-E-T. I mean, she couldn't even spell it. Now, I don't know if that was out of fear or just not knowing how to spell, but at that level, you would think, you know, I can spell cat. And he said, you know, I had just graduated. I was shocked by that. He said, this is what you're surrounding yourself with, you know. And at that time, even though I wasn't actively participating in moving the weaponry, the guns and whatnot, and, you know, selling the drugs, it was like I was right there in the middle of it, borderline of doing either or. And he set me straight. You know, I thought about it. I witnessed him and his buddies just beat people left and right. But remember, I grew up seeing this anyway. Part of it is, you know, you hate the police. Part of it is like, well, this is what you get. With that being said, I moved on. And I took the high road and eventually ended up, you know, getting trained by officers who work special forces things at one point for high-risk situations. I wasn't a police officer, but I was a security officer. Back then, I was also in the rap game. And then I moved on I moved on from that to just really going hard with the movies, videos at the time, and then movies. And based on my background, I've seen a lot of youth kind of doing what I was doing and trying to make their decisions. So I decided to become a coach, got into the coaching, and I felt like, you know, you could talk to a lot of uppity youth, especially young men. You know, and where I'm from, it's mostly Latinos, some black, some Asian. But I felt like I could reach them more if I was, you know, doing community work with them and doing things with them. So I have over 20 years now. I like to say this. I know somewhat what the rules are when you engage in taking somebody into custody, what the rules are when you affront any situation. And from what I saw on that camera, everything that I was taught or that I know did not happen in rules of just being respectable and having some kind of heart and care about a suspect in custody. The man was guilty or not, he didn't deserve to have a man have his full body weight and neck pinned down by a man and slowly murdered. I heard the man begging for his life. I heard the people begging the man for his life. And in all honesty, I was 100% shocked because I had heard stories of this cold-blooded murder, but I had never seen it before. And I've never heard people begging for someone's life and watch someone smile and grin a little bit about what they were doing as they killed them. Now, since all this has happened, I don't even remember when this happened. Lawrence, you know when this happened? It's Monday, what's the day? It's, what is it, May 31st, 2020? This happened a few days ago. And what I witnessed and was shocked and horrified about, apparently a whole lot of other people did. I recently started protesting. And what's a trip to me is, I'm out on the street with the no justice, no peace, and, you know, yelling my thoughts about what's going on. And at the same time, there's all these other nationality of people doing it. I've seen so many white people and a few Asian people even, Latinos, you know, all out screaming justice for this cold-blooded murder. And as I was out there, I was thinking, wow, like, I'm not the only one that feel this. Because at some point you feel like, you know, there's so many cases of murders. I don't even want to start going down a tremendous list. And from Freddie Gray to Mike Brown to, I forgot the other young lady they just murdered the other day in confrontation. There's just so many cases I don't want to get into, but it's just the fact that I can say there's so many cases it's all true and all legit. A lot of black folks are being murdered. And I feel like if we don't start stepping up and really doing what's happening, with the protesting of these injustices, if we don't, we as people, all Americans, all people, around the world even, we don't start speaking out when we know something is 100% horribly wrong, it's gonna not only increase, but it's gonna become as bad as the coronavirus pandemic. Because when that kind of terror is done on anybody, left unchecked, evil left unchecked anywhere, it's just gonna grow and grow and grow to this explosion that we may never recover from. So, seeing that, I just want everybody that sees this or hears this or say, wow, this is Powerman being serious and thinking, I'm some kind of crazy revolutionary. It's not about that. It's about the fact that people have to admit this is happening in America. It's true. It's not fabricated, it's not made up, nobody's exaggerating. If you say Black Lives Matter, people tend to get angry. What do you mean Black Lives Matter? All lives matter. But in truth and reality, right now in 2020, that statement has to be said and repeated over and over because these are the people that are being murdered and persecuted. Black people, Black lives. You don't see any other race in the United States of America or on the planet being murdered, discriminated, and harassed against. So that's the reason people say that. I have friends from all around the world, Latino, Black, white, you name it, Asian, and I was raised, not to be prejudiced toward anybody unless, someone didn't do something directly to harm you. You don't hold ill will toward the entire race just because one person or 2 or 3 people did you wrong. Same has to be said, unfortunately, same has to be said about police officers. There are a lot of good ones out there. Those are the ones we need. But we do not need these out of control, wild, kill you first, shoot, and then say freeze officers. That's what we have. And it's been growing. I know some officers that I work with in the community, with the youth and whatnot, who might get mad that I'm even speaking out. But real is real. I have kids. I have sons. I worry every day. They go out the door, young, old. I'm still a concerned father. I mentor and coach a lot of youth. I'm like, even though those are not my biological children, I am very much concerned and worried about them. And I tell them, if you do get approached by the police, just be respectful. Yes, sir. No, sir. The problem is, with a lot of these officers, down days, you can be respectable and they will still push you or talk sarcastically to you or try to push you to be violent, And violence is not the key. Unfortunately, because of the riots in all these different cities and states in America, it's become what people are saying it is the answer. For example, I had a couple of youngsters call me and like, hey, Powerman, what do you think about what's going on? Why do police keep killing black folks? What is it? Why do they hate black men? And I'm like, they don't hate everybody. It's just that media tends to propel and extend violence faster than anything else. That's why when you watch the news, 80% of what you hear is bad news. So they cover it quick. But in the case of George Floyd, it's not about, it's just more bad news from the news. This is cold-blooded murder. And if we don't attack, when I say attack, I mean attack our lawmakers, the legislative lawmakers, the congressmen, who allowed us to keep happening in America over and over and over, it will continue. It's not just a riot. This is going to come and go. But after the fact, we really need to start looking at who we vote for in office, who has the interest of stopping excessive force and evil treatment of black men in America. We have to take it serious. We have to look at voting now like we breathe. Because right now, in the words of George Floyd and Eric Garner, who was also murdered yelling, "I can't breathe," we won't be able to breathe. There's no in between. There's no, stop talking about that, it's too terrible. No, we have to talk about it. We have to talk about it and we have to act on it. We have to protest. I'm not saying continue to go out here burning up, police vehicles and people's businesses. And this is something that I understand, the streets, and there's nowhere else to go. They feel like they have nothing else they can do. It's like a child acting up, he wants attention. And he'll start doing everything to get it. This is where you are right now. A lot of intelligent people snapped and halfway lost their minds watching that tape, because it was a true revealing of what's happening to black men in America. And coldly and oddly enough, the 4 officers that committed that terrible act were said to be fired a couple of days later and let go to go home. If anybody in America, any country, if you murder someone in cold blood, you will be in jail. So the mindset of people that see there's no justice, even with this thing happening right in their faces, is loose right now. The only thing I find comforting is there was people in the protests that I went to. I've only been to 2, but I see all kind of people, and for me that's a proud moment, because it's not just us recognizing this is what's happening. I'm pleading and asking all of you watching this video, if you have it in your heart and your mind to do something about what's going on, and you want to bring it to camera to tell, I will get my own production people and see if we can come up with a solution to that. I'll support anybody that's doing the right thing. I personally have stayed quiet over the last few years as these things have happened. And I'm ashamed of that, because I should have been spoke out about this, on a broad platform. These terrible tragedies are happening over and over and over and over again. And I think that the bigger celebrities and people that are really on a high level need to speak up, bring attention to it. Other races, like what's happening now in the streets, that are out here voicing their opinion and letting their frustrations be known, need to continue this. Not only do they need to continue protesting this horrible tragedy in America, they need to also find different ways to go about it. Because like I said, this will come and go with the streets. We have to infiltrate the systematic depression of black people in America. Our lawmakers have to change it. There's been several presidents in office. Trump is in office now. Barack before him. Bush is before him. And so many presidents have come and go in this country. And the same problems that was happening way back in the day are still happening present day America. In fact, it's gotten worse. It's been going on. The difference is there's camera now. These camera phones, you can catch and tape anything. We have to continue to do that. Expose the wrongs. With that being said, I had to get this off my chest. This is not about promoting my next movie or next record or anything like that. I mean, that's part of what I do as Powerman MC. But as just a man and a father, I know that there are a lot of people out there who roll with me, who's down with me, who see what I see, and they're staying silent. And they're acting like nothing can be done about this terrible tragedy. But there are things that can be done. Reach out. I pray and hope for peace. And I'll be talking to you guys again. But until then, stay blessed and not stressed. And look out for yourselves. Be careful out there. Our world's in a crazy place right now. Peace.